Ken Klippenstein or Klippenstein, NSPM7, ... whatever. He's a journalist, all right? He's a journalist. So Senator Slotkin talks NSPM7 with Jake Tapper, saying Trump has tasked the Department of Justice to come up with a list of domestic terrorists. Quote, if you start putting the full weight of the intelligence community against these domestic terrorists, suddenly you have CIA officers and SA officers looking at American citizens, which is a big no-no, a big illegal act after Watergate. No, not necessarily. If natural born Americans are terrorists, yeah, they should be gone after. That's what the intelligence community is there for. What are they suggesting that just because they're a natural born American citizen that they are physically and completely incapable of being a terrorist? I mean, come on, give me a break. But anyway, let's hear what they have to say.
Just over a month ago, after the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk.
No, they're just mad that they're going after Antifa. That's what that's all about.
Domestic terrorism and organized political violence, unquote. It's referred.
I mean, remember in the Biden administration that they were considering naming certain conservatives as domestic terrorists and parents of children who were showing up at those conference meetings or the school board meetings. They were considering labeling them, or they did label them. I don't know if they labeled them full on terrorists, but they were looking at labeling them using some extremism language.
As NSPM7, National Security Presidential Memorandum Number 7. The goal of NSPM7 is to go after and identify what the president calls anti-American, anti-capitalist, or anti-Christian groups and the, quote, networks, entities, organizations,
Antifa. Call it what it is, Jake Tapper. How much you want to bet they're not going to say Antifa?
Now, Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan, who is sounding the alarm about NSPM7. She's also a former CIA analyst who served in Iraq.
Well, yeah, it's going after their foot soldiers for the Democrats. That's why they're pissed off about this.
You think President Trump is preparing to bring the full weight of the government
because they want Antifa to keep scaring people into voting Democrat.
He merely perceives as enemies, not necessarily who are domestic terrorists.
The outrage mob. Going after the outrage mob. The mostly peaceful protesters.
Now, the ACLU notes that this memorandum doesn't actually create,
according to CNN, by the way,
So explain why this is so dangerous in your view.
Yeah. Well, look, he tasked the Department of Justice to come up with a list of domestic terrorists, right? And the definition, as you alluded to,
Americans can't be terrorists.
That document to be very broad and not always include violence, right? People who have alternative views
put it up on the screen. Let's have a look.
Or on Christianity. In American law, what defines a domestic terrorist is very squishy because of freedom of speech. There are domestic terrorist acts, but we've never had like.
She's a Democrat. Yeah, of course she's a Democrat. Democrats are really good about listing things that are problematic without giving any context or any definitive information whatsoever.
Formal list of domestic
it's just broad.
Groups.
Just believe me, it's broad.
The president and his staff, Stephen Miller, have talked about groups on the Democratic side that could be, listed as terrorists. He referred to them as terrorists. But I just think a couple steps ahead from my CIA
because it's just an idea.
What does it mean if he comes up with this new list? He pushes the extent of American law. He says, I don't care. I'm going to make my own new category. The full weight of the federal government.
You can't do that. That's illegal.
On those folks means sending the Department of Justice, sending the IRS, Department of Treasury. Does that mean the intelligence community? Does that mean other entities in the government will now be?
No, that means that they're going to get to the bottom of the financials as to who's funding Antifa, and that's what she's scared of. That's what the Democrats are scared of because it's going to lead back to a lot of their people in the background. A lot of those rich-ass activists, or maybe not activists, but these like all this dark money and these slush funds that exist. God knows where they actually exist. I know that Soros comes to mind, but there's definitely other very rich actors that are out there that are funneling money into organizations like Antifa, and Democrats are desperately scared that that money trail is going to eventually start leading back to even potentially politicians, perhaps. I don't know.
Inward on American citizens. And just like we don't know the names of the foreign terrorist groups that we're now shooting at in the Caribbean, why would we ever think that this list of
it's called Tren de Aragua, asshole.
Domestic terrorist organizations
we know exactly what their names are. And also a whole slew of different Mexican cartels. We know the names of those cartels, like what's one like Tijuana cartel, and I'm trying to think of like there's a whole bunch of them. I don't know, man. I've seen Narcos. I think they talk about that in Narcos, or the Oh, fuck, man. I had one right on the tip of my tongue. Whatever.
And I just know from my time in government.
Sinaloa cartel. That was the one I was trying to think of.
Putting the full weight of the intelligence community, for instance, against these domestic terrorists, suddenly you have CIA officers, NSA officers looking at American citizens, which is a big no-no, a big illegal act after Watergate. So I just wanted to bring some attention.
Oh, yeah, but it's perfectly fine for the Biden administrations to start investigating and going after conservatives who never broke the law, just those who are just outspoken and them being followed and harassed and having their phones tapped and all that shit. I know January 6th comes to mind, arresting people who weren't even fucking there. Enrique Tarrio being one of those names, who wasn't even in Washington, D.C. I don't even think, I could be wrong, but I don't even think he was in the whole fucking country. And not only did they arrest him, they threw him in prison. And he wasn't even there. What the fuck?
Because Donald Trump is fundamentally changing.
Oh, but it's okay when we do it, though.
And particularly law enforcement and the uniformed military against the American people.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Anyway, that was fun. All right. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you take a quick second to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And check out The Swamp, which drops Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, covering the daily happenings inside the federal machine. Thank you very much for watching.